Dads of daughters unite. Dads of daughters-in-law, granddads of granddaughters, uncles, how many of you are stepdads? Got a lot of stepdads here. You guys rah ha ha ha. You guys, yesterday I was in the airport here at Sacramento Airport, and the server at a restaurant, I had about 3 hours, she ended up opening her story, and guess what she said? Woo, no reverb. And she said, literally, my stepdad has saved my life. My bio dad died when I was 14. Then I got an adopted dad. He was in and out of jail. Then he'd start using meth again, prison, back and forth. She said, I don't trust him anymore. Now he's a Baptist pastor who only talks to me about God. He doesn't care about anything else. And the tears start coming. And I'm like, you guys, this happens. I don't try to draw dad-daughter stories. They just come out. And it was so powerful. But she said, because I said, what do you want me to tell the dads tomorrow? She was like, tell them to get to know their daughters in all facets of their life. Like, don't just preach God to them. There you go. Happens everywhere I go. Daughters are like, tell the dads this. But I love to ask them, well, I'm so glad you're here. Who wants to learn more about how to deal with the women in their life? Did you notice I said deal with? I didn't say relate to. You're like, no, she didn't just say that. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about me. I have a counseling practice that I've had for 22 years. I think some of you said, do you counsel? Because I wasn't real clear on that today. And I've mentored girls, as I said this morning, since I was 19. 40 years, you guys, seriously. Any of you guys in that stage of life where you're like, how can I be this old? This is really crazy, right? But I'm so honored that God has called me to not only minister to women, but really more and more I say no to women's events. I just am all in with you guys. And you made me cry today. You made me cry. Like I'm going to replay that video in my head forever. Well, if you're here, this is the name of the workshop. Messages on mirrors and other power tools. Equipping you to be the dad your daughter needs. Okay, I got to start by asking you a question. What is up with men and power tools? What is up? Okay, tell me honestly, talk to me. Why power tools? Like, hey, you could do a rake. Oh, but no, you plug it in. It's like your manhood comes alive. We like to build, but why with power tools and not a saw? Faster? What else? More efficient? What else?
Greater chance of injury.
Greater chance of injury. The risk? What else?
Like a woman with a sewing machine.
A woman with a sewing. You feel the power, right? When you use a power tool. There's just something that comes alive. Well, if you're doing that, oh yeah, go ahead. It's evolution. You kind of graduate up. Yeah, you can be trusted with more. Well, you guys, this is much the same way today because I want you to have power tools that work in your relationships, not just in your yard. Anybody good with that? Let's take a skill you already have and bridge it over to the planet of Venus. Okay, let's see if I could. There we go. My goal today is to equip you to be the hero that you want to be and that your daughter needs you to be. Who wants to be a hero? Who's any Spider-Man fans? Batman? Aquaman? Iron Man? Y'all know which ones you love? Would any of you like those heroes or those superheroes if they didn't take action? No. So for you to be a hero, you've got to take action. Come on now. Okay, so I've got books with me. I'm going to give a couple away. Who has the most daughters? Okay, but let me ask first. How many of you have daughters that are 12 and under? Okay, lots of you. How about 13 to 18? Okay, you guys, these guys need our prayers. There are gray hairs coming out for all of you all. How about 19 and above? Wow. Yeah, there's life on the other side. How many of you are grandfathers? Look at that. How many of you are stepdads? Okay, look at how many of you are uncles that have a role in the life? How about brothers to a sister or a sister-in-law? So really, all of you have relationships with women. Great-grandfather, there you go, awesome. So what I'd love to do now is, who has 4 daughters or more? Look at that, a few. How about 5 daughters? 5 daughters. Oh my goodness, 4 of you. How about 6 daughters? What up? 7 daughters? Okay, who has 6? One, what's your name? Steve? Mike? Two mics. Okay, here, you go, give him a book. He needs more than a book, man. Do you guys want to like lay hands on those guys? Can we have that kind of a prayer time? I'm like, it's all about ministry to men right here. Here, and then you can pass that one back there. And in the back of the book, I've got dad-daughter date questions because truly, like I want you guys to know, if you miss anything else, just know that my desire right here is that I'm passionate about equipping you to have more tools for your fathering toolbox. And part of what I love to do is to put words in your mouth. A seminary professor friend of mine said, you're building men's competence, and it's also building their confidence. And so it's not that you're idiots, but here's the deal. Oh, we are? Okay. Okay, we heard it here. Okay, just between you and me, let's pretend you're not idiots. But when you're speaking Venusian, right, it's a different language that you're going, well, that's what I say to him and it works. To my son, why does it not work with my daughter? And so I want to put words in your mouth to say, ask questions like this, and then if they bomb, blame me and I'm your fall guy. I know, Michelle thought that was a good question. Roll me under the bus. I tell the guys in my groups that all the time. They're like, okay, I'm good with those odds, right? And then go to the next question. And here's the really good news, you guys. I just wrote a second book, and Bethany House, just this week, I'll be signing my contract. It'll come out next summer, woohoo, and it's 77 scripts to open up conversations that matter. We don't have the full title yet, but it's every kind of questionnaire from fun stuff to the harder things like sexting and same-sex attraction and what if parents have an affair and, you know, all those kinds of more complex topics, because then you've got a script in front of you that you can go on your date and open up the conversation. Because here's what I've discovered. Lots of things I've discovered about men, but when your daughter's mouth opens, her heart opens. There's a trick, right? A little thing you can take to the bank, your little ticket, is, do you find that with the women in your lives? Once they get talking, their heart opens, you know? Because it's when the wall, zip, and you're like, is something wrong? No. Clearly something's wrong. No, it isn't. Right? It's like, what? When we stop talking, our heart closes down, and the wall goes up. That was the girl yesterday at the airport. She said, I keep my dad away now. And she goes like this. She did the hand motion. I'm like, the wall? She goes, mm-hmm. So that's what we do, right, to self-protect. But when a daughter's heart opens, what percentage of the time does your heart open? Every time. So the key is to get her what? Talking. And so that's where I want to give you scripts, some of them in the back of my book. And again, you guys, because I said today, I want you to have resources for your fathering toolbox. Another one is that 2.5 years ago, I got this crazy invitation to start a radio program called The Dad Whisperer. And I didn't come up with that name. A guy called me that, and I've had men say, Dr. Michelle, that really fits for you because we men do not like women shouting at us. And I don't know how you whisper, but somehow you do. You guys, it's a mantle. That's all I can say, because my natural is I could be a shouter. Like, I can get in there. But I'm so honored that men listen and that they're open to the things that God gives me to tell you. You good with that? So if you want more resources, The Dad Whisperer is on Google Play, iTunes, and Spotify. It's also on my website, drmichellewatson.com, and they're all, again, this is all just free. This is things that you can have. You can go to my website and sign up for my Dad Daughter Friday blog that Steve talked about. Every other Friday, I just am giving you one thing at a time. In fact, the one yesterday, I wrote one recently called I Don't Speak Car, because I went to get my car fixed, and the guy just kept getting louder and meaner. And I'm like, I don't speak car. It was just, it felt really weird. And so I had a friend write one called I Don't Speak Feelings. And he's a dad to a daughter. And so I kind of love bringing guests in too. So if that's something that would help you, there you go. Okay, got a question for you. I told you I've made observations from traveling from my planet of Venus to yours of Mars. Do you agree or disagree with this statement, again, my observation, that men would rather do nothing than do it wrong? Yeah? But you know that doing nothing is doing it wrong. Lightning bolt conviction? Woohoo! Okay? But here's what I've discovered about men is I know you want to do it right. Is that true? You want to keep the women in your life happy. You do better when they're happy. Do I hear an amen? Amen. Right? So you're like, okay, what do I do Tell me how to fix it. If you don't tell me, I don't know. And she says, I don't know. I was just telling these guys, we don't always understand ourselves. That's why we can't tell you what we need, right? We're as lost as you are. So part of it is you're just in it with us. Why are you laughing? Because we feel each other's pain. Well, I just want to begin now by showing you a video of a dad that I just met. He's from Australia. His name is Ash Mills. And you know that whole thing, you'd rather do nothing than do it wrong, is just remember, you guys, that it's okay if you mess it up, because it's not about being perfect. It's about being present. And this is a dad that didn't care if he got it wrong. And maybe you'll be able to relate to him. His name is Ash Mills from Australia. This is he and his daughter, Alex. Here we go. Isn't that awesome? See, it wasn't about being perfect. It was just about being present. Remember that. Maybe that video will come back to mind. Well, the first tool that I want to put in your, I told you, a few tools in your toolbox. You know, you can listen to the Dad Whisper, get my blogs, those kind of things, get my book. But another one is that, write this down, messages on mirrors. This is your number one power tool today. So I've got a question for you. I'm going to give you a quote, and I want you to tell me if you know where this comes from. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Not Cinderella. Snow White. Next question, who said those words? Yes, the wicked witch, the evil queen that was the stepmother. Do you guys notice that the woman with the power asked an inanimate object to define her beauty? Did you know that women are doing that same thing every single day? They are asking inanimate objects to tell them whether they're beautiful, whether it's the size on their jeans, the mirror on the wall, the number on the scale. Another brutal one for us as women is the magazine covers at the store that are airbrushed, but still in our minds, it's like, photoshopped. I never look as good as her. Whereas you guys look at a magazine and go, whatever, I'm just walking through the line, and the whole time it's comparison. Whether or not we tell you, this is the kind of script running through our head all the time. And even more concerning is that if we don't hear that we're beautiful, we're going to go searching for it somewhere and find another mirror on another wall that tells us that we are. And if you know what I mean by mirror, I'm talking about the guy who has an agenda. And he knows that if he tells her what she wants to hear, he can get further with her. Am I right? He has an agenda, but you guys don't have an agenda other than to affirm her. But what sometimes happens with men is that you don't think to say the things you think. I had a guy in the ABBA project last year say, I went to work the next day after we talked about this, and I asked my coworkers, female, really? You guys, what if just a woman didn't say anything about your outfit? Why is that negative? Michelle said that's negative. They said, because if she liked it, she would have said something. Welcome to Venus. Yes, thank you for welcome to our brain. It is brutal in here. That's what I want you guys to realize, is that saying nothing, that whole doing it wrong, that your daughter needs to hear, your wife needs to hear. In fact, Richard and I were talking today about the word beautiful, that a lot of dads say, I kind of reserve that one for my wife or my girlfriend. Like, I don't know, that feels kind of weird. I've had lots of dads go, that feels a little on the creepy side. I can say to my daughter, you look pretty, you look nice, you look really cute today, but beautiful? I'm like, I'm just telling you guys, you can do with this what you want. But beautiful is a ticket to our hearts. Really? You see me as beautiful? Really? That's the question we are asking every single day, whether you want to believe me or not. She will internalize your view of her. When you tell her how you see her, it goes in. Even if she goes, Dad, it's going in. It's like, stop, don't stop. That's really what we're saying. And you're like, well, which one is it? Yeah. Don't stop. Don't stop. You heard it here first. It's really a Mars-Venus thing. How many of you would say your wives, girlfriends, I'm talking about, peers, not children, but how many of your wives struggle with the mirror? You would say it's a tough, oh, wow, not the whole room, maybe 50. More the camera. How many of the camera? I know, the camera has done I'm part of that. It's not easy to look back at pictures, right? It just gets in our head. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about where I've struggled with the mirror. Oh, I love this kind of picture. You're part of the solution, dads. So here I am. This is me at about 23. And I gained about 50 pounds, and in my 20s I had a eating disorder called binge eating disorder. And this was post-Bible college. I'm a pastor's kid, and I'm doing ministry, and I love Jesus, and I'm mentoring teenage girls and 20-somethings, and I'm working as a dental assistant. And yet all the stuff inside, I don't know what to do with it, so I just ate it away. I'd binge eat, I'd planned my binges, and it really ravaged my life. And I can remember, so here I'm on a summer staff at the church where my dad pastored, living at home. And I remember it like it was yesterday, walking in the front door. Do any of you kind of in your hallway of the front, part of your house, like going out the front door, you have a mirror on the wall and like a table that has drawers, and we have all our stuff crammed in there, but, so we can all look at ourselves while we're walking out the door. And I can remember walking in the door and looking at myself in the mirror and hating what I saw. And this was how I looked. And I ran down to my bed, knobby white bedspread on that bed in the basement where it was kind of cold, and just sobbed my eyes out. I hated how I looked. I said, no wonder guys don't like me. It didn't matter that there was any quality inside because I didn't like the package. And that was the season where my dad said, drop 20 and they'll be lining up at your door. Just last Friday, I asked my dad to revisit that one. And I said, Dad, I know you meant well, right? Do you think he meant well? Like he was trying to affirm me. Like they'll line, it's like, Michelle, it isn't your body. Like just get the weight off and they'll love you. Like, because you're lovable. But that's not how I heard it. It was yet again, I'm undesirable. There's not enough of me on the inside because there's the weight on the outside. Again, brutal mirror kind of things. Now, I told you this morning that I have a sexual abuse history. I wasn't sure I was going to say that, but hey, John's kept it this real and Steve's led the way, so I might as well just take off the mask, which I'm all about anyway. But it's kind of feeling out of group, like, okay, did we go there? Well, we did. We all are. But isn't that helping everybody take theirs off too? How many of you already feel, this is my first time here, but I already had Phil tell me, where's Phil? Phil told me today, whoa, this is my first time. Man, is this intense. I said, we're just getting started. Like, we got more to go. Like, why don't we just go there? I have found that men are dying to take the mask off. It's not just women, like to be fully known, as John talked about. And so the more you do that in your own life, the more you can lead your daughter to follow your lead, right? So really this whole thing about you knowing me is that, yeah, I had all the stuff inside that I projected onto the mirror. So I said I hated the mirror. Was it the mirror I hated? Was it me? Yeah, it wasn't even what was done to me. It was me. Like I'm the source of the hatred. Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. I did ask my dad last week if he would say the same thing now. If he had it to do over again, he's 81. Would you say, drop 20? He said, probably not. Probably not if I had to do over. But your girls, every single day, they are looking in the mirror and getting a message reflected back about what's wrong with them. Brutal in our heads. Because I've been counseling for such a long time, I wish you could sit in my office with me just for a little bit of time, part of a day. If you sat where I sat and heard what girls and women say about themselves, I think you would be kind of caught between brokenhearted and furious, like enraged that somebody took advantage of this woman along the way. Does that make sense? You would not sit there passively. But more and more and more, I've heard beautiful women sit there and I'll say, tell me what you hear in your head when you look in the mirror. These are things I literally have heard. You fat pig. No wonder no guys want you. I hear things like, you're not skinny enough. You're ugly. You're fat. And then, do you want me to turn you into a shrink like me? I'm going to teach you a trick because I will say this to them. You remember back in English class, we have first person, second person, third person. Remember that? First person is and, me, my. Second person is, third person is we or they, right? So you, which one of those was that when they say, you fat pig, which person? Second person, it's a you statement. Rarely do I hear a woman say, I'm ugly. I'm fat. Every once in a while I do, but more often than not, you guys, it's a you statement. You could ask your wife, your daughter, your sisters, what do you hear in your head when you look in the mirror? There's a question to take to the bank. Opens up a conversation, yes or no? Would that open up a conversation? If you listen for the you guys go home. Go, I'm now the expert. You can say, is that first person, second person, or third person? And you're helping her go, oh, I didn't. They think I'm brilliant. They'll go, I never even thought of that, right? Because it's all unspoken, but it's in their head. But when I say, where do you think that voice is coming from? What do you think I hear? Pardon? Dad. Could be dad. But more often than not, they don't know where. It's I don't know, it's a conglomeration. But many of my clients, they're not all Christians, but where do you think they go deeper to the source? Satan. That is the enemy of their soul lying to them. Would you agree or disagree? Can we talk about spiritual warfare here? This is spiritual warfare that is brutal against women, where they use statements, because this, as you all know, biblically goes way back, the whole war. You guys know this about women, men, because most girls have this negative voice in their head. I'm going to tell you where I think this roots. Look at Ezekiel 28, 12 and 13. You remember that Ezekiel 28 and Isaiah 14 are the two passages that talk about Lucifer falling from heaven? And here's what Scripture says about Lucifer. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you. How many of you noticed the three things in that passage where women struggle? What's the first? Perfection. Number two? Wisdom. Number three? How many women say, I'm not perfect enough, I'm not smart enough, and I'm not beautiful enough? Raise a hands if you've heard women in your lives ever say any of those three. We never went to school to learn that. How do we all know that? You think there might be a bigger thing going on? If all of us without a script are saying the same thing? And we know that interaction, right, about Satan falling from heaven happened before the book of Genesis, right? This was pre-creation. So we've got to now go to Genesis 3:15 to go, then what happened after that? So part of the curse, you all know this verse, I will put enmity, God says, as part of the curse. He says this to Satan, to the snake, between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. And he, this is Jesus, will crush your head, Satan, mortal wound, and you, talking to the enemy, will strike his heel. Now, because we're seated with Christ in heavenly places, we can insert ourselves going, do we have the power, men and women, to crush the head of the enemy? Because we're seated with Christ. Even though he nips our heel. Now, I just got my first tattoo. You guys got some rad tattoo guys here, man. Okay, I just got my first tattoo right here on my foot in January. I've wanted one for so long. Guess what it says? Proto-evangelium, which is Genesis 3:15. If you type that word up, that word comes. This is my reminder, you guys, that I have the power through Christ to stomp on the head of the enemy. When he comes, isn't it interesting that he's called a father of lies? I would have thought he would have been called a CEO of lies, an instigator of lies, the founder of lies. No, he's called the what? He is a counterfeit father, and he wants to take you guys out because you're part of the solution of being a truth speaker into the women in your lives, whether it's your wife, your daughter. Does that bear witness at all with your spirit that this enmity between Satan's seed and her seed wants to take her out, wants to take her down, and the enemy does not want you to be part of the solution? Does that resonate? Because there's power that you guys hold, power tools, men of God, to say, hon, I am speaking truth over you. Right now, I'm going to pray that the power of the enemy gets broken off of you right now in Jesus' name so that you can see who you really are. And Dad's going to stand here and tell you. Dad, nope. Come here. I'm laying hands on your head. I'm praying over you to have eyes where the scales fall off so you can see yourself as you truly are. It wasn't that long ago that I had a woman in my office, 35 years old, Lisa, saying, I hate the mirror. I asked her what she thought. She didn't have to wait. I said, I hate the mirror. I said, why? She said, because it reflects back every flaw. But it gets worse. She said, just this week, she goes, it's interesting that you're asking me. She said, my 10-year-old daughter is where I was at her age. Because I asked, when did it start? The whole mirror hatred thing. She said, it goes back as far as I can remember, probably 9 or 10. Now her daughter's there. And now her daughter said, just that week, Mom, did you ever not like yourself when you were my age? Mom's like, no, don't go there. Like this enmity thing goes, it's not just women, it's girls, it's children, right? That young. Even last year at a men's conference, I spoke on this, and a guy came up to my table in the morning and he said, hey, I'm so bummed I got to miss the afternoon, and that's when your session is. I was going to come to it. Can you give me the cliff notes? I've learned to speak Martian. I can shrink it. And told him about this whole messages on mirrors thing, and all of a sudden, tears well up in his eyes. Remember I told you men talk and men cry? They talk about their daughters, and this is what I get. I love it. And it's already happened here, by the way. It's been awesome. And what was so powerful is this guy starts welling up with tears. So what I'll usually say is, tell me why you're crying. And he said, my daughter is 5. And just this week, we talked about going to Disneyland. My wife and I were talking to her. We thought she'd be so excited, right? Disneyland. Instead, he said, my daughter started crying. And he goes, honey, why? And he said, she has eczema on her face. And she scratches it. And he pointed to his chin and said, it bleeds all the time. And then she said, I don't want the Disney princesses to see me this way. Now I was crying, like just heartbreak. You guys, this enmity thing goes this far back. Little girls are already hating themselves. In fact, there was just a study done with NYU, Princeton, and University of Illinois 2 years ago, January, where they studied little girls and boys between the ages of 5 and 7. And they already found that by the age of 5, girls stopped dreaming that they could be anything they want to be or do anything they want to do. And by the age of 6, they already believed that they weren't as brilliant as boys. By the age of 6, they showed them pictures. And they would always pick the man as the smarter. They would point. And so they called it close the dream gap. We've got to close the dream gap. And just about a month ago, a guy called me from Oklahoma and said, I've shared your podcast with 20 guys because we're all like, we didn't even know that was what our little girls are struggling with. Did you guys know it started that early? Because she may not say it out loud. Some of yours might, but this guy didn't know till the Disney princess conversation happened. He didn't know she was struggling with the mirror, but already that young. And my passion is to say, you guys can help close the dream gap. I'm going to give you a free tool. I'm going to throw it in right here just in case you want this one. You know, I've got to get something for free. You could ask your daughter, let's make a list together if she's really young or if she's older of 10 outrageous things you want to do in your lifespan. Like get her to do, you guys, about a decade ago I did this and I wrote write a book on there. I wasn't an author. I didn't think I would write a book. But you could dream with her. Does that resonate with you? You get to say, tell me 10 outrageous things you'd love to do and don't tell her she can't do it. Doesn't even matter how ridiculous it is. I want to have my own cooking show. I want to fly to the moon. Let's put it on there. And then you could even use that as your prayer guide. Better yet, make your own list. What are 10 outrageous things I still want to do? Because remember, more is caught than taught. So you give out what, does that seem like a practical one? If your daughter doesn't live with you or she's even married, text her. Tell me 10 outrageous things you want to do before you die, which is a little more brutal way of saying just within your lifespan. You get what I mean? But saying, just let's just dream big. And then Mattel Toys, back just October of 18, picked up on this. And they started a movement called Close the Dream Gap. And so my whole thing is, I've done a podcast and a blog on this. I'm like, dads, help your daughter close the dream gap. Where you get to help her believe in herself, even if it's out there. Because have you read this thing called the Bible? Where these guys, you're like, why did Jesus pick them? Like, I think he could have done better with his crew, you know? And Jesus was like, nope, those are the guys I want. Because I don't think we get lost up in the glory when we know what a mess we are. Right? So lead your daughters. That might be a practical way that you could step into this. But you guys, the truth is the plot thickens. This whole Genesis 3:15 thing. I've never shared this with men before, but I felt really pressed in my spirit. Because if you guys are men in HD, kind of high definition means we're going in full throttle, am I right? Like up a notch. Okay, I don't know if you're going to like what I say, but I'm just going to go there. Okay, here goes. Here's where the plot thickens. Because the enemy doesn't want you to stand in the gap as truth speakers and fighters for truth for your daughters, I believe he wants to take you out through sexual sin. Because then you know in your head what you've looked at, what you've done, and the word disqualify today that I said, you disqualify yourself because you say, how can I tell her one thing when I've done another or thought another? And then you stop fighting. And the enemy knows he can take you out through shame. And like John said, and you know that you bring it to the foot of the cross and say, I'm going to keep speaking truth because the truth is going to set her free and me free. And I know Scripture's talking about capital T truth, Jesus. But the same principle, lowercase t, still applies, yes? That the truth sets us free. Be a truth speaker, because here's how I wrote it out. We as women need you, dads, to help us see the truth about ourselves, to see the beauty that is truly there. And when you help us see what we're blocked in seeing for ourselves, this is spiritual warfare at its best, because you are fighting for truth to set us free. Is that too brutal? You guys, get your stuff out there. Like John said, tell somebody, because the enemy does not want you standing in the gap as truth speakers for your daughter. And we need you. We need you to fight for us, because we're dying on the vine with this stuff. Your daughter needs you to do battle for her so she can see herself as she truly is. Dad, the truth is that you're a mirror to your daughter, right? We all look in a mirror. You know what's funny? My ABBA Project co-leader goes, I don't even look in the mirror sometimes for days on end. I'm like, is that true? Do some of you not look in the mirror for a few days? Is that common Martian stuff? Some of you all? Okay, I'm getting some nods. So the question I have for you is, what kind of mirror are you? Okay, gonna do a little object lesson. Jeremy, you want to be my, he's gonna be my demo guy. Okay, so this is Jeremy right here. Turn around, let them all see who you are. This is Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. Say hi, Jeremy. Okay, so Jeremy, you got up today. Did you look in the mirror?
Yes.
You had to think about it. Okay, so you know what you look like. Look in the mirror. Do I have it tipped right? Yep. Does that look like you? Yep, there you are. Okay, so Jeremy looked in the mirror. Can you all testify? That's clear mirror. Saw himself. Same day, same him, same clothing. Now look in the mirror. You look a little different? Did y'all catch that one? Same Jeremy. He looked in the mirror. Did you get a different reflection? So the mirror that you look in, thank you, has everything to do with how you see yourself, right? The mirror you look in. So when your own brokenness gets in the way and you reflect back to your daughter a broken image, you think that goes in? Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present. Go make amends. Hon, that wasn't you. Forgive me. That was me. That was my stuff. That was my crap, right? So dads, does this help? Do you think this will come back to mind? A few years ago, I was talking to about 60 little 5th and 6th graders on the floor, and I called it God in the Bod. I called my talk that. And I was showing them the mirror thing. And a lot of you guys are ministers. How many of you have had stuff come out your mouth that you're like, I wasn't even planning on saying that one, right? Well, it was one of those days that I was talking to the girls about this, and I said, how many of you know who the queen bee is at school? She's the popular one that sets the standard for clothing and popularity, and the guys, all the guys like her. They're all like, we know which one that is. And I said, okay, here's the thing. This was the download I got. Is I go, how many of you had an experience where we put the whole outfit together, and then you get to school, and the queen bee does one of these? Did y'all catch that? How many seconds was that? 1 second, 2 seconds, one of these. She's like, I'll never wear it again. Never wearing this again. And then you come home and you might go, we spent good money on that outfit. You're gonna wear that, you know. You guys, it's way different on Venus. It's like, I don't know, it doesn't have to make sense. It just, it's survival of the fittest, man. And so she's like, I'm never wearing this again. Why? Why would you give that girl the power? But it's just part of the deal, right? And what I did to these little girls is I said, I want you to put your hand on your hip. I want to put your other finger in the air. And when that girl does that, I want to get a little sassy pants. I want a little wave, and I want to hear, broken mirror. We're going to do it right now. Okay, hand on your hip. Hand on your hip. Come on, man. You could teach your daughter this one, okay? Other finger in the air. On the count of 3 with a little attitude. 1, 2, 3. Broken mirror. Oh, that was so, okay, we have to do it one more time because that was so good. Okay, one more time. Finger in the air, hand on the hip with attitude, like your daughter would do it. 1, 2, 3. Broken mirror. Oh, I got some head waggles. Oh, that was awesome. Do you think your daughter might benefit from that example? You could tell her that, hon, that's a broken. Can you imagine if you pick up for your daughter from school? You're like, how was your day, honey? And she's like, just devastated. And you're like, was it a broken mirror? You got code now to go, that wasn't you. That was that girl. She's a broken mirror. Don't listen to her. Let's get out a clear mirror. And I promise you, that's how you lead her back to truth because she gets her feet grounded. So, Dad, we know there's a lot of voices out there, right, that are calling for our attention, that are saying, we know the truth about you more than you do. Dads, be the mirror who reflects loving, affirming, life-breathing truths into your daughter. Because if there's no other voices giving her the positive message, she's going to go to the ones that are the loudest. Yes? So if you're not saying things just by default, that's where she's going to go. Every day we're taking in all that information. So, dads, I would encourage you to give affirmations about inner and outer beauty. Let me tell you about Elizabeth. Have you ever heard of the Rose Festival? We have this big parade and all this stuff in Portland where I live. And Elizabeth was a Rose Festival queen. I mentored her in high school. And when she was about 23, her dad took the ABBA project a number of years ago. And she said, my dad has never once in my whole life told me I'm beautiful. Anything. But guess what Tom's reasoning was? He said, when my daughters were young, me and my wife decided we only want them to focus on inner beauty, not outer beauty. So we don't want to affirm the outer. But what happened, without Dad knowing it, he had good intention, yes? But she said, if my dad doesn't think I'm beautiful, why would I think anyone else thinks I'm beautiful? Dad, your voice has weight. Again, that's why the enemy wants to take you out. Because here's the deal, too. As part of that take you out kind of dance, is that a spirit of seduction in a woman dances with a spirit of lust in a man. And they find each other in a room. Does that make sense? Or is that Greek? You know what I'm talking about? A spirit of seduction in... What do you say?
When men go dead silent like that, they know exactly what you're talking
Okay, come on. Did he just play your hand? Okay, so a spirit of seduction in a woman dances with a spirit of lust in a man. And so what happens is it's this vicious cycle where women say, I get noticed more when I dress this way, when I look this way. And then you guys go, we can't help it, we're visual. Of course she's gonna know I'm looking because she's beautiful. Of course I'm going to look at what's beautiful. But again, like I said, back to the fall, is those three things: perfect, wisdom, beauty. Lucifer was cast out of, right, heaven, right? He's in hell with a third of the angels are now demons, but 2/3, right, are angelic beings with Jesus. But you look at the fact that this war is, he says, I'm going to take women out because they took my place. Women are now the beautiful ones. And so where men get caught up is that they're like, of course I'm going to look at that, because there's visual beauty. But then when it turns sexual into lust, the vicious cycle is women are like, but I don't get the attention when I don't dress this way, so I'm going to dress that way and you're going to look more, and then I'm going to look more when you dress that way, and it's just this runaway train. Does that make sense? And so I get the fact that it's brutal for a lot of you guys, because you're like, what do I do? Just wear shades all the time and, like, don't look. And all I can say is, you guys, this is one of those God be merciful things of, God, how do I look at a woman's eyes? In fact, this was 1983. I was 23 years old on a singing drama team in Europe. We were working with American military youth. And my best friend married this guy that I was so in love with, but he didn't pick me, so I introduced him to my best friend. And he runs Josiah Venture. It's this missions organization in Europe. And Dave would sing in his head, oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. There's a Father up above. Remember that one? Looking down. He would sing it in his head to go, eyes, 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 to not look down. I mean, that's practical, man, right? Because I get that it's hard for you. But for women, I believe the enemy is behind all this, so that you can't be wholly positive affirmers. But in Christ, you can be that voice, despite what you've been through. Didn't you love how John was just making it come to life today, going that Jesus is like, what shame? Like, what history? If it's gone for him, you're like, then you've got to replace it. In fact, did you guys know that you can't not think something? I do this with my clients all the time. Like, all of a sudden, I'll go, don't notice my earrings. And then I'll kind of move them. I'll go, just don't notice my earrings. Just focus on me. And they're like, and then I'll say, oh, did you know my ring? It's a bag of marbles. I just put the marble in my ring. And they're like, no way. I'm like, yes way. Did you stop looking at my earrings? You had to look in a different direction to not look here. So if you're saying, I keep going to the shaming events, how can you see what I'm saying? How can you be a truth speaker? But you're saying, wait, Jesus, I'm going to look in a different direction at you. This is the truth. I get to be a truth speaker because I've been washed in the blood of Christ. I've been set free, and I'm not going to shut up. Enemy, watch me. Proto-evangelium. Do I hear an ooh-ah? Come on. There we go. So give your daughter affirmation about inner and outer beauty. So you may say to her, some days, your eyes are so beautiful with the color. That color offsets your eyes. Or, I love the creativity. You might go, that is the ugliest outfit I've ever seen. That is so creative, the way you put that together. That's true. Because remember, you can't lie. You got to be a truth speaker, right? Yeah. But you want to tell her, wow, the way that I just saw you give to your brother, wow, that showed such growth. Oh, I love your hair up like that. It's just that feminine beauty. It's just, you see what I'm saying? Both and, not either or. Let me show you a couple more pictures that I think you'll like. This is Brittany. Her dad did the Alba Project. This is when she was in 8th grade. And Dad has all these messages on her mirrors. And what is so fun about this is this was 5 months after Dad had put those on her mirror. And I was over at their house, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we have to get some pictures. Dad took them. As I have found that when daughters have messages on their mirrors from who? Yeah, not from just anybody. From Dad, they stay up for months. Months. Dad's always in my group. I can't believe it. This is like a dumb sticky with like a couple words on it. I'm like, nope, she don't take it down. Watch, prove me wrong. There's Brittany, smiling big. Dad's taking the picture. This is Danielle. So now Danielle's older. This is her in her early 20s, living at home for a season. Dad's taking the picture. Can you see Mark in the background? And these dads are saying, like, if you could see the picture on here, he's just saying, like, praying for you today. You're so beautiful to me. What did I ever do to deserve to be your dad? Which is a lot to get on a sticky, but you can do it, right? If you got a thin dry erase marker. These aren't rocket science things where you're like, I don't know what to put. Well, ask other guys in your group. I had one dad write to a bunch of the guys and goes, I need more ideas of what to put. Can we just kind of keep the email thread going? It's like, let's help a guy out, you know? But look at the smiles. Can you see them? Like these girls wanted to pose for these pictures so I could show them. Look at that. You can see you are kind, like affirming. Can you see that? You have a big heart. Love Dad. I love all those kinds of positive affirmations. This is Maggie. She was in the group. Her dad was in the Alba Project last year. Reed hit it out of the ballpark, you guys. She's really struggled with, cutting, and they've been public about their story, so I can say that. Cutting. Any of you guys dealt with that at all, with girls like the cutting thing? And she was doing that and some alcohol and really struggling, and she's in junior high, and Dad would say, give me your phone. Dad's like, I can't even connect with her. But Dad started, when he'd take her phone at night, they would spend more and more time together. He said, it's like, we'd say, give us your phone around 9. He goes, I'd be there for like an hour. So he's now getting up early and staying up later. But what it did to her heart, all he wrote was, have a good day. Love, Dad. And he said, it was on the mirror in the bathroom mirror, and she took it to her bedroom. Because do you imagine, you guys, the power that in the very mirrors that your daughters look in, bedroom mirror, bathroom mirror, rear view mirror of her car. I just had a dad this year for the first time because he's estranged from his daughter. She doesn't want anything to do with him. He went to her car and wrote on the side mirror, oh, Daddy's going to get the message in. I don't care if you want it. Isn't that brilliant? Like, you guys have great ideas. I love it. You take it to another level. But I love that one, love Dad. Here's a dad that wrote me after I do the dad-daughter division of the National Center for Fathering with my friend Ken Canfield, and so I wrote a blog for fathers. And this guy wrote me, here's what he said. Dr. Watson, thanks for the messages on mirrors inspiration. My daughter Sarah, a.k.a. Max, is 13 and in 7th grade. I attached a copy of my mirror message from today. Listen to the backstory, you guys, this is so cool. He said, yesterday Max dumped her piggy bank out and gave $85.14 to a charitable fundraiser for a boy with leukemia at school. That prompted the comments about her willingness to give to others. He said, in case that's hard to read, yes, it says, hey Max, the mirror reveals only the fact that you are beautiful on the outside. Your charity and willingness to give to others reflects how beautiful you are on the inside. You are simply beautiful in every way. I am so proud of who you are. Love you, Dad. Isn't that awesome? Elliot hit it out of the ballpark. I mean, he went the whole mirror. Isn't that awesome? So here is your practical battle plan. Are you guys ready to fight? Be warrior men that fight so that truth gets to your daughters. You ready to write messages on the mirrors of your daughters?
So this little expo marker, it's changed my relationship with both my daughters in just a month, and I don't want to tell you how. So I was really looking for a way to connect with my 18-year-old daughter and my 10-year-old daughter. I just felt a bit of a distance. So I was telling my wife before I went to a men's conference, I really need the Lord's assistance with this. Wow. And so when I went there, then Dr. Watson was handing out these markers. And I thought, this is interesting.
That's just a dry erase board marker?
It's just a dry erase board marker. I'm like, what is this about? And so then she comes out with this looking glass, and she says, do you guys know what this is? And we said, well, I think it's a looking glass. And she says, look, this is how a woman finds out who she is. So a woman gets her identity. It's by looking in this every day, and she sees all of her flaws, and she hears all the voices.
That is good.
They're telling her who she is. And Dr. Watson says, here is your opportunity, dads. You can use this simple dry erase marker.
I love it. I love it. I just heard it.
In a moment when you can intervene in that moment when she's already listening for her identity.
For her voice.
For that voice.
That is awesome.
And so my 10-year-old daughter, I go home, I'm tentative. I'm going to try it. So my 10-year-old daughter, I just write up on the board the very first day. Good morning, Olivia. Happy Saturday.
I love it.
This is on the mirror in her bathroom or where?
Exactly.
I love it.
Because I'm not sure how she's going to respond. And she comes down, bouncing down, and she doesn't say anything about it. And then my wife says, you made a real impression on her. I said, how do I know? Because she marked off the SATUR for the Saturday, and she said she can't wait for you to do it tomorrow to write Sunday.
I love it. She wants some more.
She wants some more.
Absolutely.
So
Thank
now
you,
we got her
Jesus.
engaged. Now we got her engaged. So then I write, I love you, Olivia. You've won your daddy's heart. She had a spelling bee coming up a couple days later. So I write, you're a great speller.
Man, that's going to change the tide.
And then
Wow.
my 18-year-old comes home from college, and I don't put anything on her there in her room. And I'm just curious how she's going to react. She walks into the bathroom, she looks, she gets a frown on her face. She comes out, she's so jealous. And this is a girl who I hardly have,
Absolutely, but you're connecting right
but
there.
we're connecting.
That is awesome.
So how am I going to do this? So what I decided to do is after she left, I wrote on the mirror in her bedroom,
I love that.
took a picture, and emailed it to her. So she has it in real time.
Good.
And it's in a familiar place.
That's awesome.
But now, here we are away from home, and I've got an away game too, because I don't leave home without this guy.
You go ahead and write in the mirror and send
Right
him
in
a
the
shot.
mirror at the
I love that.
right where we're staying.
Good job,
and
Chris.
send it.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
so awesome.
And it's all
Awesome.
thanks to Dr. Watson that in 1 month's time, there's a thaw occurring.
I love it.
And
I
it's
love it.
beyond a thaw. It's moving towards boiling. And
Well, I was at the same men's conference and I missed that session. So
Yeah.
now look how faithful God is, who brings you
yeah.
to allow him to bless me. with
And
that.
and I took I took a marker as well from that conference.
Yeah.
And I use it on my
Yeah.
teenage son's mirror,
Yeah.
and lift him up, and he absolutely needs it too.
That's
Yeah.
good stuff,
So-
man.
Go Dads! Woo!
Cool.
Thank you,
Thank
Michelle.
Dr.
Watson.
Thank you. You're
Yeah.
the best.
There are watercolor ponies on my refrigerator door, and the shape of something I don't really recognize, brushed with careful little fingers and put proudly on display. A reminder to us all of how time flies. Seems an endless mound of laundry and a stairway laced with toys gives a blow-by-blow reminder of the that we fight for their well-being, for their greater understanding, to impart a holy reverence for the Lord. But baby, what will we do when it comes back to me and you? They look a little less like little boys every day. Oh, the pleasure of watching the children growing is mixed with a bitter cup of knowing the watercolor ponies will one day ride away. And the vision can get so narrow as you view through your tiny world, and little victories can go by with no applause. But in the greater evaluation mount up with wings as eagles for his cause. Still I wonder, baby, what will we do when it comes back to me and you? They look a little less like little boys every day. Oh, the pleasure of watching the children growing is mixed with a bitter cup of knowing the watercolor